Day 15. Herod the Grinch. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. Growing up, my favorite Christmas movie was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I would keep an ear out for when it was going to be showing on television and made plans to watch it. Once my wife and I got married, we continued this tradition, watching it together each year. By the time our kids were born, we had a VCR, so I bought a copy of The Grinch on video and introduced our kids to this classic. However, when we moved to the mission field, the VCRs in Eastern Europe used a different video format. So sadly, the Grinch movie didn't come with us. Around Christmas time, that first year on the field, my wife and sons went out shopping one day without me. When they returned, they presented me with a treasure, a copy of Jim Carrey's version of The Grinch on video cassette, with Russian dubbed over the English. The quality of the video was horrible. It was dark and blurry. The English was hard to hear, and the Russian dubbing was read by a middle-aged man with an emotionless, monotone voice. Nevertheless, I watched it with great joy with my wife and kids. A poor quality Grinch movie was better than no Grinch movie. That same year, our mission sent us to Poland for visa renewal. While there, my boys found out that Jim Carrey's movie was playing in a theater. So, as a Christmas present, they took me to see it. We thought that since it was a live action and not a cartoon movie, it would be in English with Polish subtitles. It wasn't. The entire movie was in Polish with no trace of English. We loved it anyway. Interestingly, later, when we watched the movie in English, we all decided the little Polish girl that was the voice of Cindy Lou Who had a better voice than the original American actors. This movie appeals to me because it emphasizes Christmas is much more than just the outward trappings associated with us. It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. However, I like it even more because it holds out the hope that even the vilest can be transformed when the true message of Christmas shines through. In the beginning, the Grinch's heart is 2 sizes too small, but by the end, it grows 3 sizes to be even bigger than a normal heart. He goes from hating Christmas to joyfully celebrating it with the Who's. I wish this kind of transformation had occurred in the life of Herod the Great. Unfortunately, Matthew 2 verses 1 through 20 make it clear that it didn't. Herod was a violent political schemer that ruled parts of Palestine with the help of the Roman government for 37 years. He gained his position as king over Judea from the Roman Senate due to his political maneuverings and connections with Mark Antony and Caesar Augustus. He maintained it by killing anyone that opposed him, including members of his own family. He wasn't a popular ruler because this happened frequently. Describing Herod, Josephus, the Jewish historian, said he was a man of great barbarity toward all men equally and a slave to his passions. And though he was encompassed by 10,000 dangers, he got clear of them all and continued his life to a very old age. Despite the fact Herod claimed to practice Judaism and restored Solomon's temple, the Jews loathed him. This was partially because he wasn't ethnically Jewish, but was of Edomian descent, a group descended from Esau, not Jacob. Partially because he incorporated many pagan Greco-Roman elements into the culture of Judea, and mostly because of his cruel and dictatorial rule. So it's no wonder when wise men from the east arrived in Jerusalem saying, "Where is he who is born King of the Jews?" Herod was deeply disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. Verses 1 and 2. A new threat to his power had appeared, and the people of Jerusalem feared what he'd do. To the wise men, Jesus was a king to be worshipped, but Herod saw him as a threat to be eliminated. The exuberance with which the wise men asked their question must have been even more irritating to Herod than the joyful Christmas songs and celebrations of the Who's were to the Grinch. However, being a schemer, Herod couldn't admit this, so he held a private meeting with the Jewish leaders to discover where the Messiah was to be born, verses 4 through 6, and then secretly summoned the wise men and asked them the exact time the star appeared, verse 7. After these 2 meetings, Herod had all the information he needed. He knew where and roughly when the king had been born. However, it was more advantageous to Herod to send the wise men to seek him out. So, like the Grinch, when Cindy Lou Who caught him stealing the Christmas tree, Herod, being so smart and so slick, thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Go and search carefully for the child. When you find him, report back to me, so that I too can come and worship him. Verse 8. At this point, Herod's heart was probably filled with smugness, akin to that of the Grinch, as he stood on top of Mount Crumpet and listened for the sound of crying as the Whos woke up and realized there'd be no Christmas this year. Nevertheless, Herod's plan, like that of the Grinch, failed. The wise men found Jesus and worshipped him. Then the Lord warned them in a dream not to go back to Herod. And so, after receiving this warning, they returned to their own country by another route. Verse 12. After they left, the Lord sent an angel to Joseph in a dream and warned him, "Get up, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt and stay there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to kill him." Verse 13. So Mary, Joseph, and Jesus left that night for Egypt and stayed there until Herod's death. Verses 14 and 15. When Herod realized the wise men had found the king and deliberately didn't return to tell him, he thought he had been outwitted by the wise men. Verse 16. In reality, the Lord outsmarted him. He was so enraged that he gave orders to massacre all the boys in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old and under. Verse 16. In an effort to kill the infant king. This too failed. All he accomplished by forcing Mary and Joseph's flight into Egypt and by killing the infants in and around Bethlehem was to fulfill Old Testament prophecy, verses 15 and 18. Jesus was safe and remained so. Later, Herod contracted a disease in his stomach and bowels. After an extended period of painful suffering, he died, verses 16 and 19. After his death, all of his achievements crumbled into the dustbin of history and were forgotten. Today, most people that have heard of him know about him not because of his accomplishments, because of Jesus, the infant king he tried to kill. From Herod's time until today, many people have appeared on the world scene and have opposed the king instead of worshiping him. With hatred in their hearts for him, they've done their best to erase the truth about his birth, life, death, and resurrection from the hearts and minds of men. In the end, they've gone the way of Herod, passing from the scene of history to be quickly forgotten. Yet believers all around the world today still pause to worship the King as they celebrate his birth at Christmas time. So don't let the Herods and Grinches distract you from worshiping the King. Just pray for them and keep praising the King. Who knows? Maybe one of them will be transformed like the Grinch by witnessing the joy that fills your heart and your life this Christmas.